If you're going to scale your way out of the law firm so that it can grow, you're going to have to replace yourself and you're going to want to mentor yourself. Because right now, when you're small and solo, you're doing all the work. If you're not small and solo anymore, you remember what it used to be like of you doing everything. Welcome to this week's Your Practice Mastered podcast. My name is Richard James, and today we're going to be discussing mentoring your law firm replacement or mentoring your way to freedom. And so today I want to talk about a little bit deeper on the areas that you need to replace yourself in and then how you want to go about mentoring. I'm going to give you a step-by-step process, but I also want to talk about the joy, the reason for that, and then give you an example. So this first concept is that there's a new client attraction, NCA, there's the workflow, there's the profit, and there's the talent. These are the four primary pipelines or quadrants that run your law firm. Inside of these pipelines and quadrants, there are sub-pipelines and quadrants. In the beginning, as I said, you did everything. You met with every single possible client. You were out there building referrals and driving business into your new potential clients, meeting with the initial consultations, and they were hiring your firm. And then you were doing all the work. And whether it was the legal work that required a bar card or the non-legal work that was like collecting documents or whatever, you were doing all of that. And if you needed help, you were out there recruiting the help and reviewing all of the resumes, and all the talent hiring was going through you. And then you were managing the P&L and the collections and making sure people paid you. And then you got an assistant and then somebody to handle all of your intake, your sales, your document collection, your petition prep, and you hired another attorney to do your hearings. And then you hired a bookkeeper, a CFO, a collections agents to manage the on-plan versus off-plan. Whatever it was, you had to start to replace yourself in all of these roles. And if you don't replace yourself, you're going to be the bottleneck. Replacing yourself requires mentoring. If I look at this as just a big circle with pieces of the pie, right? So the first you have to decide, this is the why, then you have to recruit, and then you have to onboard, train, manage, lead, and scale. Listen, if you want to know more about mentoring, if you want to understand about how to replace yourself in a law firm, you can visit us at thelawfirmsecret.com. Happy to share with you some free resources that we have there that'll help you take the next step. Now, mentoring, we're talking about inside the training. This is how you mentor, right? You've got to mentor well so you can be an example for other people on how they mentor. Managing and training are two different things. These are two different things, and leading and managing are two different things. Training is teaching somebody how to do the job. Almost everybody I've ever trained said some version of I'd love to be hands-on. I'd love to just do it. That's how they learn best. And so there are two rules that I want you to follow. The first rule that I want you to follow is the 10-80-10 rule. The first 10% of every job you do. So you set it up for success and understanding how to set up the first 10% of the job. And then they do 80% of the work. And then the last 10% you review. So this is you with them, then they do, and you review it. So it's 10-80-10. Let's say you want to teach somebody how to manage document collection, petition prep. So you take the first 10% and you outline how to do it. You might even have some written guides. You have some videos on how to do it. And then you sit with them and you show them how you would do it and you set them up for success. Then you give them the 80%. They go out and they actually prep a petition, right? Then you come back in the last 10% and you review where they made errors. And you repeat this until they've nailed it. Then you can let them go. So it's not just train them and let them go. It's like teaching your kid how to ride a bike. You hold the back of the bike while they ride until you feel they got it, and then you let go, and then all of a sudden they're on their bike, and good luck getting them back before the streetlights come in. Anyway, point is that this is the best way to manage training somebody. Now, yes, training videos and tutorials and templates and all those things are very good to have, but you still need to be involved. So you can then show somebody else how to run this 10-80-10 program. The second is what I'm going to call the mentorship cycle. You do, they watch. They do, you watch. They do, someone else watches. In a growing concern, when you're scaling, you have to make sure you have this piece, because this is how you let them train their next person. Because as you're scaling, you need more people to do it. And you can't be the chief trainer for everybody. So you have to train somebody how to do this. Let me illustrate this. Years ago, 1992, 1993, when I was in the funeral business, my uncle would do the initial consultation with the family. And so in the mentorship process, He spoke to them. I watched both. And then what we did was we added in a review. That's the most important part. After the consult was over, he and I would review what I learned, what I didn't learn. After a few of those, and he felt I got comfortable, we'd have me run it. And so what would happen is I'm running it to them and he's watching. And then you review. Once he felt that I had it, he and I would switch seats, and then I hired the next funeral director. And I ran the same process with them. And then I would do the same thing with them that he did with. This is different than the 10-80-10 in that the 10-80-10 is project-based, it's oftentimes virtual, and it doesn't require as much in person. This mentorship cycle, it feels a lot more like a court case that you're having, or a meeting with a family if you're doing consults or onboarding or design meetings or whatever. This feels like a more in-person way. So this I would run more in a project base, prepping a petition. I would run this more in a kneecap to kneecap space, being in court, meeting with family, meeting with opposing counsel, whatever it is, I would be running it like this. But in both cases, you'll notice there was this review period, right? You always had to add in this review during this process. What happens is you miss out on the growth and the learning because the review is where the mentor understands if the mentee gets it. The review is where the mentor tells the why behind what they did. Now, you should still have scripts and you should still have templates and you should still have tools that you use, software that you use in this process, and they're watching that. And so this is how I would run these two mentorship programs. Because if you do it well, you've now trained the person you trained how to do this. And you create a standard operating procedure, an SOP. You use this SOP to start to create this idea of how this is done. And so when any new person comes in, they then know how to mentor somebody. This is the most important part of this process. Now, the last reason why you want to do this is because you want to be able to have this joy to watch somebody grow up. I've mentored a lot of people. I've mentored Megan. I've even mentored my wife. I've mentored my son, Michael. I've worked and mentored with Sherry. She brought some things to the table, but I also mentored with her. I've mentored with Blaine. I've mentored a lot of people in my company. We have 20-some people in my company. I've mentored Alex into the operations side. And those people have gone on to mentor other people to be raised up and replace me and them in those other roles. My oldest son, Michael, mentored Justin in sales. That's his brother. That's my younger son. Justin rose up through the ranks, became the highest closing salesperson we have, and now teaches other salespeople how to be great closers, and also understands the full involvement of the firm because he's been hearing from me about the whys, and I've been mentoring him on other things. Well, recently, we do a training every single week for the team about one thing the team should know. Justin wanted to teach the team about customer service, and he put together a presentation. This is what it feels like for you to be able to see somebody you mentored step into the occasion and grow up and say, oh my gosh, they got it. And it's so much fun to watch them get it because it makes you feel proud. And it's even more proud realizing that I wasn't the one that mentored Justin. I mentored somebody that mentored somebody. And so Justin got mentored by Michael. Michael got mentored by me. Michael's also gone on to mentor Amanda and Alonzo, and they've mentored people on their team. And so this is how it works. This is what happens when you mentor somebody. They rise to the next level. Listen, if you want to understand about how to replace yourself in a law firm, you can visit us at thelawfirmsecret.com. If you want to schedule a one-on-one conversation, by all means, you can go ahead and do that. But what you need to do is replace yourself through the art of mentoring so that you can build a firm that supports your lifestyle rather than completely undermines it.